Welcome home. This is the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day is a holiday and there is always room for one more. Come right this way, have a seat with me today in the corner booth celebrating our 106th week. Sweeney, clear the floor. Katie, bar the door. Molly, put down that accordion and put on another pot of Irish coffee and bring out the Irish dancers. It's time we get this show on the road. Another full house today. Now, standing room only, folks, I'm telling you. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host. You can reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com and check out the written show notes on my blog. You can find a lot of easy links to click there and some little extra information now and then. And remember, you can search all of our podcasts and all of our books on that webpage too. That's irishroots.com. And you can always phone 816-256-3360 to leave your comments on my recorder. Try it. You'll like it. Among today's topics, the Irish family name of the week is Finnegan. A Newry man is named ambassador to Ireland. The DVD of the month is A Return to Irish Roots. Pig racing in which Irish county? The Irish video of the day is The Dunne Family and the Piper. The first ever global Irish website. And number 7, the webpage of the week is Memorials of the Dead in Ireland. Hey, that reminds me, you can get all 5 of my free broadcasts online, either on iTunes or go right to my webpage. Just look for broadcasts and start clicking away, and you'll find them there. And, of course, on the blog, all you have to do is click, and it'll take you right to them. But be sure to listen to each one of them. I'm trying to decide now whether I should keep them all separate or just combine them into this one feed. There's just not enough of me to go around. I got some ready to go. I just have to put the final touches on them. So we'll see if we can get those song and recitation ones up in the next week or two, like I've been saying for the last month or two. Well, I think it's time now to move on to the notes for the week. Well, the first note, we get a letter. It says, "Hi, Mike. Reading from your website," and that's the page for the Mac, Mick, and O book, names that begin with Mac, Mick, and O. And they say, "I live in Scotland, and I've never once seen a surname spelt M'. Only have ever seen Mick and Mac being spelled MC and MAC." And then he kindly cut out a couple of samples I have on describing that book, showing some names with the apostrophe on it. And those included MacDonald, McKay, McLean, McLeod, McIntosh, and McGregor. And you know, McGregor can also be found as Gregory sometimes. We know all about those funny changes in Irish family names. And, well, I appreciate you sending me that. And I've never actually known anybody that used an apostrophe instead of the A or the C after the name for Mick or Mac. But a lot of census takers and record takers have recorded the name that way just because, say you were writing down 1,000 names one day or 1,000 names every day, writing down that A in the middle of the name or the AC could get a little repetitious, and you might have arthritis in your hand, and you might just say, heck, everybody knows what I mean. I'll write a M with a little dash next to it or an apostrophe, and everybody will know. And in that book, I took those spellings right from the sources I was quoting, so it wasn't me putting them in there. It was just the way they were. But thanks for pointing that out, because there'll be some people who won't understand that either. And I also explain in that book that sometimes you're going to find those Mick and Mac names just as an M without even an apostrophe. On the early frontier in America, on the front forts, I found several names where it was M, period, and then the last name. And I thought, well, it must be Michael K or something. But no, I looked up and I found that the guy was actually like McKay. It had nothing to do with the first name being the initial M. It was Mac that was abbreviated. Just a little tip there. Number 2, Taoiseach Brian Cowan launched the first ever global Irish website in New York on Sunday, March 15th, according to reports. And it said there was a celebrity crowd of Irish and Irish Americans in attendance. and it's irishcentral.com. And it's got all kinds of media interest, they say, and it's going to be covered or was covered by the New York Times and the Today Show and many, many others. And Martin McGuinness, Deputy First Minister of Northern Ireland, and actress Vanessa Redgrave, and Roma Downey, and Mark Burnett, they were supposed to attend. I assume they did, and it was at the very prestigious American Irish Historical Society in New York. Hey, and that's the very same group that I have on my master index here for the Journal of the American Irish Historical Society. They started publishing that around 1898 and went back in history and just pulled up every little thing they could on the Irish in America and their contributions and other places across the world too. So they're a really good outfit, and they've been around a long, long time. Number 3. Our first ever DVD is now finished, and it should come back to me in a day or two if I don't get surprised by something. You know how that is the first time you do anything. Well, I finally figured out how to make a DVD, and I dumped all the pictures into it and the movies and the video shorts, and it's supposed to be working just fine. And the name of it is A Return to Irish Roots, Genealogy, Song, History, Travel. And it's interactive. You click on which one you want to see, and it comes up there. And it's a great introduction to those parts of the Irish heritage. Has a lot of our podcasts in there. And the first travel video we ever took on our first group trip or two back in the 1980s. So that's interesting. My nephew Brian filmed that way back around 1984 or 89, something like that. So that was interesting to me, and he put music to it and the names and the titles and the places we went to. So it's sort of like a little travel log, and we converted it to digital, and now we saved it, and it's on a DVD just there for you to sit and see. And eventually I hope to make this a 4-disc set and have a little bit of everything on there just spread throughout, maybe a whole disc or two just on music and song, but this one is more genealogy, history. And since it's the first one and it's sort of an introduction to culture and heritage and genealogy, I had Peter Adams do his Danny Boy song, not just the song now, because some people have heard it so many times they actually shy away from it, but it's been heard so many times because it's so good, and there's a big history behind it, and it does have the roots from Ireland. There's some other people that helped out, but generations of folks united around that song, and it was part of being Irish, I tell you that. So we also had a little part before he sung. It's the Chat and Sing podcast, really, and it's the one where we sat down and talked about the history of that song, and then he sung the song. So it gives a little more meaning to it than just a song that everybody talks about or says, oh my gosh, it's Danny Boy again. Although, you know, there's hardly a dry eye in the house when it finally gets going and it's in just the right place. And we may also give some of these DVDs out free to our Renewing Gold members. Just have to give me a little time to figure all that out. The price is right now is at $12.95, and it's going to be available on my webpage soon. And they've already accepted it, believe it or not, at Amazon.com. So you can put a pre-order in for it now, and they should be, this week, they should be coming in. So all I have to do is pick them up and ship the ones to Amazon that they order from me here, and that'll be done. Or you can order it just directly from me if you want. But that's it for that, but we're real happy about it. And we're going to make that DVD the CD of the month. Now, it used to be the book of the month, sometimes CD of the month. Now it's really a DVD. And I've got the link to that on the blog, too, if you want to go to it and see it on Amazon. And a little more detail on it, since it is the DVD of the month. It's got our Chat and Sing show covering Danny Boy with Peter Riley Adams singing it. And Peter, by the way, is in Ireland. He took a group over the last week or so. And the last I heard, he was in Gort, headed towards Galway for a pint, I think he said. We'll be looking to hearing from him when he gets back. We've got an Irish in America podcast show on there that included the Lost Tribes of the Irish in Georgia. And then we also had the Irish Roots Radio show, this one right here, including DNA, genealogy, and family history. So that's a pretty wide swath. Somebody ought to like something out of that. And like I said, our Return to Ireland movie, that was our first group trips we made that from. And then we have 7 of the Irish Family video shorts. These are some of them that are on the Irish Genealogy video podcast, the Irish Roots Cafe video podcast. And we put them on here. So whether it's for yourself or somebody else in your family, you're trying to get educated, this would be a good one to give them too, because it's got song, it's got history, it's got a movie of Ireland with some nice music behind it, and the water and the castles and the flag. So it could be just the thing, you know. Well, what do we got coming up? Let me see. What were they drinking at the White House on St. Patrick's Day? Here's a hint. It was green. And no, it was not green beer. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But now, you know what time it is? It's time to raise our eyes skyward, give thanks, and ask for help. Here are today's Magnificent 7. Well, new member Marcia Finnegane of Rogers, Arkansas. Hey, Rogers, Arkansas, I've got some in-laws from Rogers, Arkansas, the McNeils. And they hear the Marcia Finnegane, she's looking for Finnegan, and she says, we're researching the genealogy of my husband's surname Finnegan and mine of Joyce. We are to the point in our research that we must cross the waters to continue and are not sure how to do that. Well, I sure hope the webpage can help you, or some of our other readers, or some of the other members, Marcia. Of course, the most important thing is to find the county first. And you usually have to do that and find that in American records. And then you go back and try to nail it down in Ireland. And gosh, if you go to all the places are on the web now, you're going to find some lead somewhere. Now, Joyce, I know there's a lot of Joyces in Galway there are, and we'll talk about Finnegan in a minute. But number 2, new member Patricia Sampson of Canby, Oregon. She's searching for James Ritchie, born 1702, married Isabella Stewart, born 1730 in Scotland, and they got married in about 1754, and also for Daniel F. Rourke, and he spelled it here, R-O-R-K. Of course, it can be spelled several different ways, and that Daniel Rourke was 1751 to 1817. Number 3, Ivan Gallagher of Manitoba, Canada. Your Families of County Donegal has shipped. William Crowley of San Diego, California. Your Families of County Cork has shipped. Annie J. Brooks of Dorset in the UK. Your book, The Fall of Irish Chiefs and Clans, has shipped. Number 6, Molly Nickel of Kansas City, Missouri. Your book, Missouri Irish, has shipped. And number 7, Patricia Donahue of Gladstone. Your DVD, Return to Irish Roots, has shipped. That's an advanced copy. You said you wanted to look at it before the final version got out, so I'm sending you an advanced copy. And I also had a suggestion that that Missouri Irish book, somebody wanted to make it a book on tape, and they'd read the whole thing off onto onto a CD, and if you're going on a trip or driving in the car to work, you could end up hearing the whole book without actually having to sit down and read it, and or maybe on the subway. Email me at mike@irishroots.com and tell me if you think that's a good idea. I don't know. I don't know. I've never tried that, never thought of it, but we're going to come out with a full line of CDs and DVDs. So let me know if you think making that a book on tape type thing, if that would be interesting to you or not. And that reminds me to say thank you to each and every one of my members, because without you, it wouldn't be possible. We have no bailout, no bailouts here, that's for sure. And I'd just like to thank all of you, because without you, the podcast wouldn't be possible, or the CDs, none of it. So I sure do appreciate all your help. And now you know what time it is. It's time for the Irish family name of the day. Well, the Irish family name today is Finnegan. Boy, we've all heard of Finnegane. I've heard of Finnegan's Wake and Finnegan's Rainbow, and Finnegan and his chin again, and however that long poem worked. I'm putting one of those Finnegan things on the music Irish Song and Recitation channel, so that should be interesting. And of course, today's name is in honor of Marcia Finegan, and she's the gold member up there. And there's several related spellings of the name, and you can, of course, that double N or a single N in there, and you can add an E to the name of the name. And you know that story if you've been listening to this podcast very long. I put 5 or 6 of those spellings on the blog. You can see them there. And we found it in variant spelling group number 610. And that was from the Master Guide to the Various Spellings of Irish Family Names. And that's on our webpage, too. Of course, I put that together a while back just to help people look and understand not just their name, but if they look at other people's names and see what spelling groups they're in and all the different ways to spell the names, it might just help somewhere along the line in research. Now, let's take a look at the history of the name, just a little extract from the Book of Irish Families, Great and Small. And if you take a look in there, it tells you that the O'Finnegan families are fairly widely distributed all the way throughout Ireland. And there's at least 2 separate origins for the name, 2 separate families, we think, that have survived today. But there might be more we've forgotten about. But anciently, O'Finnegan is found in the barony of Ballymore in County Roscommon, and right nearby there in the baronies of Ballymoe in County Galway, marking one location for the name. Hey, and note that the place name of Ballyfinnegan is found in the baronies of Ballymoe and Castlereagh in Ireland. So that'd be a fine thing to go back and visit Ballyfinnegan if you were a Finnegan, wouldn't it? I'd take myself a picture right by the name of Ballyfinnegan somewhere there. That would be a fine thing. And the other location for the family name is found near the borders of Cavan, Meath, and Monaghan, which was in the old days part of the territory known as Breffni. And that'll do it for now. I don't want to make all the other Irish families fall asleep there listening to Finnegan. I think everybody likes to hear about 5 minutes worth of Irish family history on a name, and then if it's not related to your name or your county, sometimes your mind wanders, and I wouldn't want to have that happen at all. Wait till we get to your name. Then you'll be saying, I'll keep going. Don't cut off so soon. But now we're going to move on to the Irish family coats of arms. And was there a coat of arms for the Finnegan family? Yes, there was, and it's found in the Irish Book of Arms, and that's the one that was granted after the coming of the Irish Free State. I think it was MacLysock that granted those after that, and they made sure some of the great Irish families had coats of arms that maybe weren't granted them in the past. And coming up later in this episode, we're also going to talk about the Dublin and Belfast parades. They now have quite a to-do over there in Dublin and Belfast on the St. Patrick's Day parades, but it didn't used to be that way. Not 200 years ago, but just 70 years ago or so. There was no big deal. It was a holy day. It was a church day, a saint's day, but it wasn't a big party day. But it's become that now, and it all started in America as far as that partying goes, I think. But let's take one more quick look for Finnegan, and we find the name in the free master index on the search for Irish names at irishroots.com, and we find the family 27 times there. And what's it found in? Well, let's just take a few samples. I found it in the birth index of Ireland, in the families of County Kerry, in Irish genealogies, which is volume 3 of Keating's history. I found it in the families of County Galway, and that was as O'Finnegan. And hey, here's a General Finnegan, the hero, and that was in volume 3 of the Journal of the American Irish Historical Society. We mentioned those in the introduction today, or that group. And one more, let's see, let's do 2 more. O'Finnegan history is found in the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters, and first initial L, Finnegan, is found listed in the Irish Families on the California Trail. And that was a real fun book to write. I just discovered all kinds of things, and that reminds me, that book came out not too long ago, How the Irish Won the West. Title was something like that, and Molly went to Ireland and got that book, and she's reading it, and lo and behold, the guy quotes my book on Irish settlers on the American frontier. He quotes from that book in there 1 or 2 or 3 times, I think. So that was really a kick to see that in there when she wasn't expecting it. I'm famous at last. now I think we're going to move on in just a second to the websites of the week. Well, the first website of the week is going to be iancantwell.com. That'll be on the blog. Just click it and go. And that's an online source that contains new indexes and an introduction to the 3 genealogy databases that were published as a CD or on CD. And that includes Brian Cantwell's Memorials of the Dead and Memorials of the Dead for County Galway and Mayo, the Western Seaboard, and 1798 Rebellion, Claimants, and Surrenders. So that'd be an interesting thing to look up. It's a little thing published in addition to that CD that you might have to buy. This part was free, I believe. And number 2, we're having a video of the week, and that's going to be the Dunne family and the Piper. This Dunne family was a traveling family in Ireland, and that meant they were travelers. And if you don't know what that means, then you better find out. The travelers in Ireland were a special group of people, and there's been a lot done of them of late. Now, this is a history of an Irish musical family, really. And the video shows Mickey Dunne and his Irish pipes. And he's a very unique player, and he's like a worldwide phenomenon with Irish music, and his family's got a history of that. And I tell you, it's worthwhile seeing if you have any interested in the Dunnes or any interest in the pipes. It's a good little video. And Mickey talks about his family and the pipes, and he also plays while he's talking, so it's worth a listen. Hey, we're running fast today. I mean, we're running slow. Let's move on to Curious News and Notes. Well, number 1, it seems that the folks in Douro County, Laos, were on the pigs trail of late, and they had a big old parade there with about 2,000 people turning out. And after the end of the parade, the highlight of the whole thing was a pig race. And they said they had 42 floats that took part in the whole thing, and it went across real well. And they said 2,000 people, and that's a lot for that area of the country, I think. And they called the theme of the event Hump the Recession, which I guess means get over that hump and get on with life and don't let it stop you. That hill in the road, you can't get too depressed by that. You just keep on walking and you'll pass right over it. And funnier thing, the parade also included Barack Obama and Brian Cowan puppets. Now, I wonder if they had a little puppet show. It had been real interesting to hear that conversation. That was in the Independent IE. I saw that. I've got a link on the blog, just like with most of the other things I'm talking about. Number 2, last week or the week before, I talked about that special Dublin pizza that had some black pudding on it and Jameson whiskey. And guess what? They had the big world contest in Las Vegas, and the Bistro Biancani in Ranelagh beat some of the world's best pizza makers, and they won the title Open Region Champion for the best non-traditional pizza. I tell you, if I go over there, I'm sure going to have to try a piece of that pizza. I wonder if they freeze it and ship it over. I'll have to ask them. Number 3. Well, the waiters were carrying trays of green champagne at the White House on Tuesday night. That's St. Patrick's Day night. And they were running through pipers and drummers and guests all crammed into the East Room and the State Room at the White House. I guess it was pretty hectic, and it was nothing like the reserved receptions that they had under President George Bush. They had some morning meetings and celebrated that way. And they say that Bill Clinton had even crazier times and bigger parties, but I wasn't invited to any of them, so I couldn't tell you. Number 4, once again, Guinness is voted the top Irish brand. They did a survey in the UK and asked for what the top brand was, and guess was second and third. I don't know if you think of the brand of an Irish liquor or a drink, what would come in after Guinness? Well, Bailey's came in second, and Magner's Cider and Jameson came in third. I don't think I've ever tried Magner's. I'll have to do that, but that's just another vote for Guinness, who's celebrating a big anniversary this year. Number 5, the grandson of a migrant was appointed new ambassador to Ireland, and that's the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Daniel Rooney himself, whose grandfather left Newry in the 1880s, and we wish him all the luck as America's ambassador to the Republic of Ireland. We've got another story on that in the blog. Number 6, hundreds of thousands came into Dublin for the parade, and you never know what number's true, but some people said there was as many as 675,000 people there, and they came from all over the world. Now, other people probably said there was 400,000 there, but it's much more fun to say 675,000. And this was the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade, which sort of capped off a 6-day festival on St. Patrick's there in Dublin. And it's right that they turn it into a festival, that's for sure. More on that in the irishtimes.com. I got a link on the blog. And number 7, we can't leave out Belfast and Northern Ireland, because meanwhile in Belfast, they had hundreds of folks lining the route from City Hall to Custom House Square. And that's where the teenage singing sensation Owen Quigg delighted the crowds. And the theme was legends, myths, and stories. And they featured hundreds of participants from all corners of Belfast. And it departed from City Hall at 12 noon, and they got on the way. And, hey, I've been noticing some more ads on the television about Belfast, telling people to come over and seeing mermaids in the rocks there and all sorts of stuff. So they're really on the ball. They're trying to pump up the tourism, and more power to them. That'll help things stay peaceful, maybe. Well, that's it for today. Remember to send your comments by clicking the contact link on our webpage at www.irishroots.com, or send by mail to our American address, the Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri, 64116. Leave your message or report on things in your part of the world when you call my phone recorder at 816-256-3360. Skype me at Irish Roots Cafe. Find me on MySpace at Irish Roots Cafe. And find me on Facebook at Mike OLaughlin. That's OLaughlin. Members foot the bill so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.